Hello everyone and welcome to the Test Season 24 Manufacturers Cup Round 6 Top 24 Superstars. Wow, that is a mouthful, and as you can see, we've got a mixture of all sorts on here. So we've got Rick in pole position, Indian Food in that Porsche in second place. Some strong cars here, the three there are some of the strongest we've got. Then we've got Twizzy, obviously the Ferrari struggles with tyres a little bit. Beloff in the GTR, you don't see that very often. Myself in the RCZ. Suzuka, it's kind of okay at. It's not as good as it used to be. If you remember a while ago, I got a 57 at Suzuka. It's now impossible to get a 57 under the balance of performance. It's actually impossible to get a low 58, I think, in this car with balance of performance. Could be wrong. Depends how much time I'd have to put into it, but I'm pretty sure it's impossible just due to the speed on the straights, which we've mentioned in the past. As we keep going down the grid, there's a GT by Citroen there. We know how fast that car can be from the recent BOP tests that we've done. Ascaro 3Ds, Human Z, and a Red Bull liveried Viper. Got a Beetle. We've not done a BOP test with a Beetle yet. Got a Lancer. We know how stable that car can be. The Huracan GT3 car, and then the Jaguar F-Type. Probably the most boring Group 3 car we've actually driven. So let's get ready for the race. Waiting for this countdown. It's always annoying that. Waits a little bit of a while. And that was sped up as well. So here we go. We start the race. We get a good gap to Thomas, so that start sort of favoured us a little bit because we get a good near second there start on head start on Thomas as we now head down towards the first corner. So aim of the game, again, as I always say in this Group 3 car, is just to make places. We'll try and do a bit of fuel saving, try and pick off people where we can, where they make mistakes. Suzuka is one of our stronger tracks. Brands Hatch and Suzuka, definitely our strongest tracks in this game at the moment. We seem to be absolutely flying there. Dragon Trail as well, I suppose, based on the previous Dragon Trail race in the Group 4 car. Even though Group 4 was shocking, we seem to be doing okay in the Peugeot Group 4 car at Dragon Trail. We seem to do alright in general, but I guess these are tracks in the BOP tests, but that's why I picked them, because I'm fairly consistent at them. Same could be said for Interlagos. But here we go. You can see the pack of cars up front. Rick already making a move there. Look at that gap already to Matty in second place. But then we've got Lexus, Porsche, Ferrari, GTR and Peugeot here before we get to our copy of the first car, which is then Thomas in another Ferrari. So if you remember from Brand, we get really close to Beloff there. If you remember from Brands Hatch, the Ferrari does struggle with its tyres. So I was expecting Twizzy to start struggling later on in this race. In terms of tyres. I was going to go for one stop here. I sort of worked it all out, and you know, you have to fuel save to get to the one stop. Most people, I imagine, were going for the one stop. We'll find out who goes for what a little bit later on, whether anyone goes for a non-stop. You'll see Beloff makes a mistake there. GTR putting his power down. Rear comes out a little bit there. We saw that in the BOP test a little bit. We now are side by side, but look how much speed the GTR has on us here. He made a mistake there, and he still managed to catch up to us in terms of speed and essentially have an additional mile an hour, but he let off there, let me go, which is very kind of Beloff. He didn't have to. We could have gone side by side, but there would have been a risk of penalty to both of us at that point, which I assume is why he backed off a little bit. So we're up a position already, 6th to 5th position. We'll take that. That's one profit position as we continue on down towards the first corner. I'll just stay to the right side because I don't want this GTR coming anywhere near me. As we head towards the first corner. I've turned the cones off this time. Obviously you need to try and get used to the cones, not racing with the cones. I'm so used to racing with them because of the BOP test. I put that on so everything stays balanced. You know, that's the only reason they're on. I can race these courses absolutely fine. I just came from the tutorials. There's markers you can use anyway without cones. Continue on anyway. We've advanced a little bit further on in the race. We're on lap 3 at the moment. As you can see, we're sort of in the middle of nowhere. Thomas is behind us, 1.5 seconds. Twizzy's in front, 1.5 seconds, give or take a couple of attempts. As we head towards the chicane, and boom, yellow flag. What's happened here? Rick has hit one of those rock hard tyres. So I don't know if you've noticed this in the first couple of laps, but we've got rock hard tyres. They are solid. You hit them, the car crashes. They don't move an inch on different parts of the circuit. That chicane, I'm not too bothered about the ones on the chicane. I think they're in an okay place as we advance a little bit further on in the race. Tidgney 1 is the scariest corner now in this game, I think, in terms of with those tyres. Now, they've been added to Nürburgring as well, and there's a video coming later on. Obviously, I'm on holiday at this point, so you will see that in next week probably, or it's one of the next couple of races anyway. You'll see them there. They've got a bit of a scary one as well. As you see, I'm using fuel map 3. A good little tip here at Suzuka. If you're trying to save fuel, put the fuel map up during the S's, because yes, you're just balancing the throttle basically. So yes, you are using the throttle and you need the fuel map 1 maybe to get the power, but 3 you don't need to then back off as much. You can let the car flow a little bit more. It's a really good tip, and you will save fuel there. So it's a, you know, do use that to your advantage. I do that in quite a lot of races. We continue on anyway. As you can see, the top 4 all Brits, believe it or not, top 5 are Brits, which is quite amazing, to be honest. Quite a competitive nation at the moment in GT Sport. And Indian Food has been attacking Matty constantly. I know Twitty is struggling at this point with his tyres. You may have seen that just a little bit earlier. He's like drifting a little bit. So I did wonder whether he was going to go for a 2-stop, because my tyres, if you look, are already a quarter worn. So I imagine Twitty's tyres are pretty wrecked at this point. As you see, Matty's lagging a little bit. Indian Food decided to follow him off there. Obviously, sometimes you can do that if you're following a car. You just end up following him. So Matty's struggling a little bit with lag, which is why sort of I'm happy I'm not in second place at the moment, because I don't want to be involved in that lag. It can cause you to have a crash or an incident. And we're just racing for fun at this point. We're not expecting anything big. There is a potential maybe we can make top 3 in the manufacturers, but we need something to go wrong for the 3 guys up front, because the Ferrari, Porsche and Lexus I think are better. But the Ferrari obviously struggles with its tyres, so perhaps maybe it's even with the Peugeot. Who knows? We'll come through here. They've had a little bit of a penalty issue there, going through 130R, and Twizzy goes in the pits. So instantly at this point, we can know 6 divided by 18 is 3, so he's going for a 2-stop strategy. So we'll see what happens with that later on. But as you can see, we've sort of stayed back a little bit, because Indian Food has been attacking Matty non-stop. Now, this is a thing with Indian Food that you'll see in any videos that I've posted. He's constantly super aggressive into every corner, wanting to try and get that spot in every single corner. And it sort of backfires a little bit in my mind, because yes, you've got that Senna, quote, if you don't go for the gap, you're not a racing driver anymore. But sometimes it's better to stay behind and get a better advantage in one corner than attacking in every corner to try and gain a slight advantage. So you just see Indian Food pushing on, constantly trying to do that. Coming into Tidgney 1 though, this is the scary part. He runs a little bit wide, goes into the gravel, into second place we go. Where that puts us in the grand scheme of it, we have no idea, because we've got Twizzy and Thomas 2-stopping. Both the Ferraris 2-stopped. We're 1-stopping as we continue on. You can see Matty lagging there. So I'm kind of just wanting to stay about this gap at this point. I don't want to get close, just in case the lag hits me, I go flying. Because we're having a pretty good race at the moment. You know, we've gained... Well, we've overtaken Indian Food, Rick and Beloff now, all from their own mistakes as well. We've not actually made a proper move yet, but this is the kind of nice thing. If you can be consistent, you can get past people through their own mistakes. Now, it's unusual mistakes from some of those guys. Rick is absolutely insanely quick. Beloff, again, is like the unofficial. If you remember Brand Hatch from ages ago, he fuel saved and managed to go from like 15th to 4th or 5th or something crazy like that. So, you know, these guys have their own unique ways of racing these top 24 superstars to get the advantage. I'm obviously trying to do a bit of strategy. I will go to overtake people where necessary, but I'll try and use other people's weaknesses to their advantage. To my advantage, sorry, not their advantage. But even so, we come out of here. Obviously, we're going to go in the pits at this point. 0.7 laps of fuel. Lap number 9. We're halfway through the race. And here we go. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit so you don't have to watch all of this in normal speed, because we know what's going to happen. Obviously, I'm working out whether I need to underfuel, overfuel. Let's see what I do. What do? I overfuel. And the reason why I overfueled a little bit, which maybe it was unfortunate because I could have come out ahead of Matty, is because we obviously fuel saved a lot in that first stint. So yes, the diamond says I should only need that amount of fuel, but actually I need a little bit more. Obviously that it changes, and if I want to get past Matty, I'm going to have to use the full power of this car at some point. But even so, we're behind Matty at the moment. Up front, Indian Food decided to do another lap. Twizzy and Thomas are obviously on 2 stops, so we're expecting them in 2 laps time. Christian, we have no idea. And then obviously it's Matty, me, Key and Callum. So lots of Brits there. Look at that for a top 9. Blimey. It's, every single one's Brit apart from Christian. Oh, and I don't know who's in 4th actually. Who's in 4th? No idea. Okay, we continue racing all the same. As you see, we're behind Matty at the moment, so we want to try and get as close to Matty now. The connection's all good again. We can get close. We can maybe make a move somewhere. We'll have to see. Oh, there's a French guy in 4th, so it's not all Brits in the top 9, but most of it. So through we go. You can see Twizzy's been putting in some stonking laps. 159.8 there. Fastest lap to Twizzy at the moment. As we continue on towards Spoon now. Again, we are trying to look where we've got an advantage over Matty. to try and get that edge. But that Lexus is quick in a straight line. We know that from the balance performance tests that we've done with the Lexus. As you can see, I'm looking at fuel at the moment because I want to make sure I've got enough to the end. As I say, I fuel saved a lot in the first stint, so potentially I'm going to have to fuel save again. Even though I overfilled, potentially I'm still going to have to fuel save, but let's find out. As we continue on towards 130R, through there we go, absolutely no problem in this car. And head towards the chicane once again. Indian Food into the pits, so he only had one fuel left, so I know he wasn't fuel saving that much in that first stint, but he was attacking Matty quite a lot in that first stint, so that's probably why he's used more fuel. We continue on now towards the end of the lap, 158.4. That's because we came out the pits, remember, that's not actually a fastest lap. Obviously you come out ahead of the line at that point, and we head towards the first corner as we come into there now. No real issues. Fuel map 2, so that fuel saving tip I mentioned before, that's what you do there. You essentially fuel map 2, even fuel map 3. Probably I should have gone to 3 a little bit here because I'm behind Matty. There's no overtaking places here really. You've really got to make somebody have an error to overtake them because it's quite tight. And we are catching Christian as well, so I'm not sure what Christian's up to. Maybe he's on 2-stop strategy, I'm not sure. I can't even remember what car he's in. I think he's in the Lancer, but don't quote me on that. But we'll continue on towards Tidgney 1, Tidgney 2. Honestly, this corner is so scary with those tyres there now, because you don't, even if you, where those tyres are, if your car is there, you weren't actually cutting, believe it or not. Your tyres are just on the inside of the white lines on the tarmac. So, you know, maybe I think they need to move a couple of inches to the right. But even so, we're still racing. We're catching Christian at a fair pace of knots now as we exit the hairpin and continue on towards Spoon once again. It's a long stint this. We're going to show you most of the racing because it's some good racing, trust me. You can see now top 5 there. So we've got Oscaro, Sky, Pickman up there as well. And we are catching, look at how fast we're catching Christian at this point in time. We're expecting the Ferraris in, not this lap, but the next lap. As we keep pushing on now, we're getting closer and closer to Matty as well. The slipstream is going to start to help us towards the end of this straight. As you can see now, we're starting to pull him in a little bit through 130R. We're about to go. And my video started lagging. That's not very helpful. And look at this move. We're going for Matty on the left-hand side, but he's got the inside, so he's going to keep that position for now. Through there we go, and we continue on once again on another lap. So that's where my plan is now. I know 130R, the Lexus is weaker than the Peugeot RCZ. That is where I'm going to push to really try and get the advantage over Matty. We advance a bit further on, and as you see, Christian is about to make a huge error there. Look at that. Unbelievable stuff. Brings it back on. It slows me up massively because he brings it back on right at the apex. So I lose a lot of ground to Matty at this point. But we continue on all the same. So we've lost about 9 tenths. That's the gap now to Matty. So we're really going to have to push on to really catch up. Christian, I thought he might have gone for the move there, but he did the smart thing, I think. He obviously causing a time delay there, so he just backed off a little bit. You can see the Ferraris now in the pits. Twizzy and Thomas in the pits as we continue round the chicane. Sky, Pickman also in the pits now. And I think Christian's about to go in the pits as well. Does Christian go in? He does indeed. So he must be on a 2-stop as well. Especially with that amount of fuel used. So now the race is on. So Matty is out ahead. We're ahead of Twizzy as well. Twizzy's just coming out the pits. But Twizzy's going to have the better tyres. All we know is by the end of the race, around 17-18, potentially Twizzy's tyres are going to be down at our sort of level. Who knows? But we're going to have to push now to catch up to Matty, because that did cost us a bit of time. And I just make a mistake there. Pointed to fuel map 2, then trying to go back to radar just quickly to make sure Twizzy was nowhere near. I really should have just looked at the top left, but I didn't. Even so, we've got a second advantage to Twizzy, and we're just down a second to Matty. So we need to whack this back to fuel map 1 in a second. I always keep it on 2 there, just because obviously you've not got as much power going through the wheels, so you're less likely to oversteer. 2, and then as you find through the corner, just whack it to 1, and then it's all safe and sound. So into Tidgney 2 we go, and then we continue on towards the hairpin. And that gap staying at about a second. Twizzy's catching us at a fair pace on knots. Look at this. Absolutely unbelievable pace catching us up here. But of course he's on extremely fresh tyres. Potentially doesn't have to fuel save either because he's on a 2-stop. So, you know, adding a little bit of fuel here and there, it just saves more time in the long run doing that. He can absolutely just pump those laps in. Absolutely fly. And of course he can do these laps with a lower fuel weight in the car. So potentially its average as well is much lower. So, you know, It's good going by Twizzy. Look, down to 7 tenths, down to 6 tenths. So he's really pushing. He must have made a mistake there. Just the rear coming out potentially on the Ferrari. It's at 7 tenths. I've not explained why there's no TV camera, by the way. The replay wouldn't save at the end. I completely forgot to mention that. That's why there's no TV camera. I basically hit my memory limit on replays, so I'm having to delete these on the fly now. With all the bot tests and everything else, it's sort of like gone, no, you can't save anymore. Even though there's space on the PlayStation 4, but... Anyway, yeah, we continue racing. The gap just under a second. I make a slight mistake there on the exit of the chicane. Twizzy's nailed the chicane there, so he's got a fantastic run on me. Of course, the RCZ, not the quickest on the straights. Look how fast Twizzy's catching me. That mistake compounding that speed difference. So Twizzy goes. I'll let off here because no point fighting that. Twizzy's got the better tyres and too wide into this first corner. He's very risky. So I'm thinking, okay, Twizzy's got a penalty. I did see that. If I stay with Twizzy until the end, he's going to have to take that penalty using that penalty trick, braking just before the finish line. And potentially I could still get that position. So I'm in no rush here. Indian Food 2.7 seconds down the road behind me. So I'm not too worried at this point about Indian Food. I'm just worried about ahead. We were catching Matty, so there's a potential for us to catch Matty. And if these two guys start fighting, potentially it becomes a three-way. And maybe the win's on the card. Who knows? Oh, who knows, should I say. So into Tidgney 2 we go. And we're watching this race until the end now. We're watching every single part of this because it's going to get exciting. As you can see, we're looking behind, seeing where Indian Food is. Beloff in 5th, Thomas in 6th, Rick still in 7th, and then we've got Sky Pickman in 8th position. Still the top 8 covered mostly by Brits here. So, you know, we're leading the way a little bit here at the moment. But when everybody suddenly comes back, it's going to be very intense in the top 24s. But you can see Twizzy trying to make a move now on Matty. Matty defending the inside line into Spoon. This is why I wanted to show you this bit. I'm just hanging back a little bit. I'm trying to catch up slowly but surely. And we're slowly doing that because these guys are fighting. That Lexus strong in the straight line, remember. We saw that in the balance performance test. So Matty can defend quite well here on the straight. So Twizzy looking for a way past. Indian Food catching us up a little bit now. 2.3 seconds behind. Into the 130R we go. Look at that Lexus staying there. So Twizzy trying to go for the cut back. But Matty on the inside as we head towards the chicane. And Matty keeps that position again. Look how much we've gained here just because they are fighting. This is what we want. This is handy for us as we continue on now towards the start lap number 15. So Matty still leading the way from Twizzy. Then it's myself, Indian Food, 2.2 seconds behind me. I'm probably gaining because that Porsche is slightly faster than the RCZ on the straights. Look at Matty defending the inside line into the first corner. Twizzy going for the cutback. Doesn't quite do it. Matty defended that well again. But Twizzy is all over his backside in that Ferrari. So into the S's we go. And as you see, up to fuel map 2, trying to save fuel. 4 laps remaining. We've got 3.9 laps of fuel. So, you know, we do have to fuel save a little bit here. On each of these laps, as you see how close Twizzy is. Obviously Twizzy's got the better tyres still at the moment. Into this left-hander, and then we'll do the same again. Hopefully flick it to fuel map 1. Do we not? Yes, there we go. It's a bit annoying this. I suppose that's one advantage of the Thrustmaster TGT. You got those dials, so you can just flick them over when you want. Obviously I'm having to cycle through the menus as fast as I can to get back to radar. As you see, Indian Food is catching us up a little bit. Quick look behind us, 1.7 seconds behind us. Matty defending into this hairpin, and Twizzy there looking for a way past still. But he's going to get a better run there. He took a wider line at that hairpin. He's going to have a better run on the Lexus. Lexus, good top end speed, remember. So Matty goes defensive for Spoon. And look at this, side by side. If Twizzy gets this, he's done a really good job. Look at that for a move. Well played by Twizzy. Round the outside into Spoon. Very well done there. That's a cracking move. And then onto the back straight. So I now have to really catch up to Matty as fast as I can because I'm worried about Indian Food at this point. He's gained about 8 temps in 2 laps. And that Porsche is quick. So if I can catch up to Matty and get past, hopefully then I can get a second place. Because that second place in this car at this circuit is brilliant. It's like better than I expected because I started in 6th place, remember. So into here we go. Matty just ran slightly wide there, so we gained a lot of time. And then hopefully we'll use the slipstream here to gain a bit of an advantage. Looks like Indian Food may have made a mistake in the 130R or the chicane because he's lost a bit of time, which is all helpful to us. So you can see we're in the slipstream now. We slowly start to gain now, slowly starting to gain, but the braking zone. So we can't do anything yet. We've got to put a lot of pressure onto Matty. Again, fuel map 2 here. just to save that fuel. 2.9 litres of fuel remaining, 2.9 laps basically left, because we've already started this lap. And through we go. As you can see, Matty, I think Matty might be struggling with tyres a little bit here. And then into this right-hander. Look how close we're getting. And we just lost the rear slightly there in this car. It's an MR car, of course, mid-engine rear-wheel drive. So it has a few issues like that, similar to the Ferrari, similar to the Audi R8. Perhaps doesn't use as much of the tyres as those two cars, but the rear can have weight issues occasionally. Through here we go. And we continue on towards the hairpin. So I have a quick little look there and then pull it back, and then I'm trying to go for a wider line to come back in, but that doesn't really work for me. I didn't do it as well as Twizzy. I did kind of go for the look there, and look how close Indian Food is now. 6 tenths behind me. This is going to get unbelievable because three-way fight for second place. Twizzy's just gone. Look at that, 3 seconds already. So you can see how much more pace Twizzy had with the 2-stop strategy. I didn't think the 2-stop would work, I will be honest. When Twizzy went in on lap 6, I did not think it would work. I thought, oh, here we go, 2-stop, excellent, that's the position gained. I wasn't expecting this in the slightest to be like this. So, you know, fair play to Twizzy here. As we continue on towards 130R, I'm not sure what Matty did there, but into the left we go. Just getting that right. Look how much we gained there on Matty in the 130R. This car is good at high speed handling. Look at Indian Food, he's right behind us as well. So we know how aggressive Indian Food can be. We saw that earlier on in the race. So let's see what's going to happen now in these last 2 laps that we've got. We're going to have to check fuel again in a second because we've got 2 laps to go. Do we have 2 laps of fuel remaining? We look behind us. Perhaps Indian Food is having to save fuel. We don't know because he's dropping back a little bit. So that suggests he does have to save fuel. A bit of lag there from Matty, which scared me a little bit. That's why I ran slightly wide. As you see, the rear wanted to come out now because I've had to adjust during that corner, the car. So you see I go to fuel map 2 now. I'm going to have to switch back to radar before I can go back to fuel map because Indian Food attacks on every corner. So you can't really judge your fuel very well. So at this point I'm just making sure I'm keeping with Matty and leaving room where possible. So I quickly flick it back. It's noticed there, so I flick it to fuel map 1. Notice the increase in power causes the rear to get unstable. That's why I usually stay at fuel map 2, but because it's going onto a straight bit I really needed the radar, so I had to make an adjustment. I just ran too wide there, so knowing Indian Food would go for that move the minute I ran wide and it'd be too wide into Tidgney 2, rather than lose all that time to Matty, I thought, okay, Indian Food, you go, you're in a Porsche, you're the bloody quick at this track, and I'll follow. And I know Indian Food is going to attack Matty at some point in the next lap and a half, because he as I say, he goes for every opportunity, even if it's not really there. So potentially I can use that to my advantage. I said this earlier, I'll use people's weaknesses because I see that as a weakness personally. If you go for every single gap rather than a strategic move, personally I think that's a weakness, and you should really focus on making sure you're going to put the move on at the right point. Attacking constantly, and you saw me attack constantly on the AOR 50 Cars 2 League on some situations, but that's where you have no choice. In the Porsche you have a bit more choice because it is a quick car. It's not as quick as Lexus in a straight line, but it's bloody good at handling, so you can get better exits and stuff. So even that, so look at Indian Food go for the move on the inside straight away at the chicane. Hits Matty a little bit there. I'm not sure Matty will be too happy with that as we continue out. So we're right behind both of these drivers now as we come onto the finish straight, start the final lap. And I know at this point Matty's going to go for a move here because he's got the straight line speed in that Lexus. So he's going to go to the left. Indian Food defends to the right hand side as we head down towards the first corner. I know 2x2 doesn't go here. So Indian Food runs wide. He tries to outbrake Matty. Doesn't work. Matty lets him go. Sort of tries to come back, but I'm on the inside. 2 positions, 1 corner. Hello. Second position. How about that for a move? I knew what was going to happen. I could sort of sense it. And as I say, I like to use people's weaknesses to my advantage. So I knew Indian Food would go for a move at some point on that lap. It was no question. He just went for it in the kind of the nice place at the chicane, which meant Matty could come back at him. And I knew we'd try and keep it with a nut sort of like braking. So it was just perfect. Absolutely perfect. As you see, we make a big mistake down the exit there. Just trying to put our power down. In fact, that was fuel map 2 that caused that, and we've lost our gap towards Matty a little bit here. 3 attempts to go. Can we keep this position? That is the question as we head out of Tidgney 2 now towards the hairpin. Can we keep this position? This is the goal now into this left-hander. Look, Indian Food down to 6th place because of that mistake. So we continue on out there. We gained an advantage there. Look at that, 5 tenths. So that's the sort of gap we need on a straight, because this Lexus starts to fly. As you can see now, it's starting to come down slowly but surely. Starting to come down. The slipstream having a big effect. Look how much quicker he's gained there. That's a full tenth instantly there. Out of nowhere. Into the final part of Spoon now. Through we go. We nail that beautifully. Beautifully. Look at this. 6 tenths up on Matty. This is a perfect gap. As you see, our fuel 0.3 litres. So what I'm going to maybe think about doing, but I don't do it, was maybe up in the fuel map right at the end of this corner straight, just because I'll maintain a speed through 130R and then I can brake. As you see, somebody made a mistake there. That was Matty making a mistake at 130R to Thomas into 3rd position. How about that for a move? So I'm in a Ferrari sandwich at this point. But even so, through the last corner we go, and we head towards the line. 0.1 lap of fuel remaining. We get 2nd position. How about that for a result? I was well happy with that. 6th to 2nd in not the greatest car, but we've managed to put it up there. But even better than that, check this out. We came 3rd overall in the Manufacturers Series in a weak manufacturer. We didn't have the best races. We had to do an oval where we didn't pit. That was a pretty boring race, which is why I didn't show you that. We had the Group 4 race. Again, not our strongest race. And then we had our 2 Group 3 races. And look at this. We made it in the top 3 of the manufacturers with Peugeots. How about that? Hope you enjoyed that race. It's a bit of a long one for GT, to be honest. Thanks very much for watching. My logo's there if you want to subscribe. I've got a video playlist there if you want to watch another GT Sport race. But that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.